Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Vocal Arts, wherever you are watching or listening from. I am here with Cesar De La Rosa.
Yes,
Cesar, tell us,
Peter.
tell the people who you are and what you're up to these days.
Fantastico, Peter. My name is Cesar De La Rosa. Like Peter said, I am a singer-songwriter from Orlando, Florida, proudly from Puerto Rico, but on the interwebs and the social medias, I am best known as the newest member of the acapella group, VoicePlay. And I've been with them for 3 years. Pretty cool.
Fantastic. Let's go straight into VoicePlay. I would love to hear your origin story with that wonderful group.
It's kind of crazy, but buckle up, buddy. No, I'm kidding. So in Orlando, there's so many performers here in Orlando. We have many theme parks. It's a tourist destination. We have convention centers. So a lot of people do their own conferences here. So because of that, there's an ecosystem for performers, and there's a lot of performers here in Orlando. I think it's the only place in Florida that's that concentrated relative to somewhere like Atlanta for filming or Los Angeles for performers and video, etc. So someone like me has been performing for a very long time in Orlando and has participated in like numerous band offerings or cover bands or different iterations. And a lot of times we usually go and when we have like a concept product, we film them. We get a nice quality production of it, so then we can send it to Disney so they can hire us for Epcot for the Garden Festival. And that's exactly what happened. I was in this group in the pandemic. So this was after we were, in quarantine for a very long time, and we started to, try to create new products for whatever the new world was going to look like for entertainment. And one of those groups was under Hawk Moon Entertainment, this new company that started in 2020. And there's this new band called Element that was kind of like a top 40 inspirational, think like Natasha Bedingfield's Unwritten. That was literally our first song. And it was centered with an ASL interpreter in the middle, right? So this is a really cool, unique offering. So what was the next step? It was to film it. And another thing about Orlando people is that we have so many different jobs. We do so many different things. We connect to our passions, including Mr. Lane Stein, who is partnered with Tony Joaquim, a former member of VoicePlay at Patty Cake Productions in Oviedo. And, they do their own stuff, but they also, with the people and the friends that they have, they help them film, their own, productions and products, etc. So I did not know Lane very much at that time, but I was part of this Element group that was going to be filming their promotional video at Patty Cake, and it was me and another person you guys might know from the group is EJ Cardona. So it's someone who's invocative, fantastic tenor. So we were the two males, there were two females, and then the ASL interpreter. And we filmed a nice production at Patty Cake. I've never been really to Patty Cake until that point. And anyways, Lane was the camera operator and, helping, the group. But he was watching me perform. And I'm sure the video is out there somewhere if people want to scour it. It's called Element or Element Band on Facebook or something. And you see me singing and doing like a spoken word part 2, and basically, and from what I hear, Lane said, he was like, "Who's that cute brown boy who's eating the camera up?" So. Because I was like singing and like the camera would pass by. I've had previous experiences with film work. So I was like, eating the camera, and I knew what was needed for the video. And basically, I guess Lane reached out to Tony and was like, "Tony, who's Cesar?" And Cesar's like, he's a performer. He's funny. And for Tony to give a compliment, period, is a high achievement. So he told Lane, and then Lane reached out to me. And at that time, it was just Jeff, Lane, and Ellie. Jane Nunn had stepped out, so they were gonna bring me in to do a feature with Adriana. We did We're Good, which was the very first video, and we just hit it off very well, like right then and there. I remember driving there. I'm used to doing gig work, so whatever I'm needed, I'm going there, but I did not know it was gonna be my forever home and my forever family, and then the rest is technically literally history. Like afterwards they were like, can you come to the next video, and then eventually it's like, would you like to be a member? I was like, yes, like crying. And that's how I became the baritone for the group.
Had you known about VoicePlay before this opportunity came up?
In a way, yes. I because a lot of my friends have done it, so like I've seen Omar do like Omar's video. So in my world I was like, oh, this is the very first thing before acapella. It's like a high production video group that has really good arrangements and brings really good people, and then they're acapella. Like that was kind of like the order of how I consumed it as the first time consumer and how I knew it. But yeah, thankfully I didn't know too much, because I probably would have thought about it too much on my performance. I was just like, let's just get this pony show on the road. But then afterwards, I really got into it.
Yeah, sometimes it's better not to know the profile of a gig you're walking into.
Yes. I remember at one point when I was like en route to becoming a member, I remember looking at one of those videos of them doing like the car play, like the live performance, like their FM radio or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I have to do this? So it made me nervous, but no, it's been smooth sailing.
That's fantastic. There's such a great group of guys. It was awesome. I mean, for the people watching, I just got to meet all the members of VoicePlay just a couple weeks ago when I was in Florida, and it was an absolute joy. I also got to meet Tony. Tony was there before you in the day, and everyone was saying like, yeah, this guy's very hard to impress. He hates acapella. He doesn't want. It was really funny.
He's the cutest grouchy cat. Yeah, that's usually his aesthetic, but yeah, to impress him is a lot, and you definitely did. The boys love you. We have to bring you back.
Oh, I would love to.
Peter and I, after we hung out, after all of us were together, Peter and I went to get some coffee and catch up and talk about anime and music and opera and all that jazz.
Nerded out. It was great.
Nerded out.
Yeah, anime and music.
I was telling our Patreons, there's a specific tier that gets to watch our chat with us, and I was in charge of the bonus chat, and they were like, how was it talking to Peter? I was like, Peter's beautiful. we talked so much, and I told them how you and I were sitting at this cafe place, but they had it's like a garage door that was open, and we were sitting facing that direction, and the light was hitting you and just the gold in your eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Back.
I
was like, I get it, because I've watched a little bit of your stuff. I remember when I first started VoicePlay, and people right away were like, oh my god, there's reactors. Like that's usually what happens with like people in my world who experience VoicePlay for the first time. One of the things that astounds them the most is like people like you and everybody in Mortius that like react, and people from all over the world that just dedicate the time to react to this in their own way. Because you do your specific breakdown. There's your professional breakdown. There's some that do too, and then there's some that just geek out over it. But when my family, they're like, oh my gosh, reactors happen, and that same thing happened to me. I remember looking at a lot of the reactors for the first time, and I was like, oh my god, that's so crazy. Then afterwards, you get into the wheel of VoicePlay, which is in the production side, which is like as soon as you're finished recording one video, you're like already preparing the next. So you don't really get a chance to see it, and I didn't get a chance to see you that much until I got the full dose of Peter that day, and I was like, okay, I get it. I totally get it.
Well, you are very kind. It's been a real pleasure, and I always love making videos for VoicePlay because you guys keep it so interesting. Like whatever you do, you go for it artistically, and I really, really admire that about you guys.
I know. Me too. And to be honest, I cannot take any credit. I just call myself the talent of the group in the sense that like when you go to like a Jimmy Kimmel or whatever, and you look at the dressing room, they say like talent, like this just your role. I'm not saying that I'm the talent, although I am talented, but the boys do the boys do so much, as I'm sure they showed you. They film their own stuff. They're focused on the lighting, the audio editing, the video editing. We talk every Monday morning, and I'm lucky to participate, but I do far less than they do. And to your point about the music, I also think like how are they going to top this? Like, how are they going to do another one? You know, and but they do all the time. And I know it's also attributed to, you know, them refining their skills at the sing off. Like that was a surefire way to like get yourself realizing like, how am I gonna like turn my own wheels? How am I gonna iron my own like sword, etc. And I relate to that. I was in a competition like 10 years ago called Yo Soy el Artista. It was in Telemundo, and it was like a triple threat show, kind of like The Voice in a way. It's like The Voice meets Big Brother. But all this to say is like you're there for 2 months. I made into I don't want to spoil it for people because it's 10 years ago, but I became the runner-up for it, which is great.
Wow.
Yeah. So you know, as close as I got, but none of the contractual responsibilities after. So I was like, yes.
That's perfect. That perfect situation. Best
case scenario. But those competitions kind of like help refine how you meet you know, a very high tier expectation and situation. And I feel that's what happened with VoicePlay, like, and that's why they continue to impress us, because they've gotten, you know, they've been through those experiences and developed that, and now they just keep impressing, you know, even themselves.
And to your point about you being the talent and them handling a lot of the, you know, logistical stuff and arrangements and stuff, it seems like, I mean, they already had a very well-oiled machine pre you joining as well. So
correct.
At that point, they're like, we just need the most wicked talented person we can find to hop in here.
A cute brown boy to eat the camera. Yes.
That was the job description. Yes.
And it worked out well. It's really, it was really cool. Also, you know, they were in search and always conversations with a lot of people. Some turned them down, and some were, you know, if and at. But apparently, I was the first and only unanimous vote for them.
Wow.
So I was because I'm sure you got to interact with them. You know, they're all like different notches of personalities and thought processes, and introverted, extroverted, and you know, and it helps too, because that's also another way that helps them produce the products that they do, especially with music arrangement, because they can help, you know, lift each other up and find other spots. But they usually don't agree that much. So when they agreed with me and they told me, I'm like, okay, so the stars did align on this situation.
What are some of your favorite projects so far that you've gotten to do with them?
I think one of the first things that come to mind is Valhalla Calling, because we went to that big space. It was the first time that we got to see that production at that scale. And only honestly, because I don't think for Patreons, we do have like behind the scenes. I don't think we release a lot of the behind the scenes for public, which we should, at least like a year after they're out. But yeah, it's like a wall to wall, like a whole building of just LED screens. And then just the tech was amazing. And it was just highly elevated production. We've done other videos there as well. We did a Midnight Sun, I think that's the name of the song. With Anthony Garguglia. But that was one of my favorites, because, you know, it was really cool. And I remember that was one of the first times that I made them like film my performance from behind the monitor, so you got to see, like, you know, the time stamp and stuff like that. And I got to show my parents, and they're like, oh my god. You know, we've been with my family, and I'm sure this is the same with your family. I don't know if you've had the same issue with your family, like when it comes to when you're growing up and you're like, I want to do music, they're like, you should do math or business or something like that. But we've passed well beyond the bridge of like them understanding and them being happy with this being my full-time job. But for them to see something like that, and that's something I'm currently on, it was very exciting. Other than that, Dream On with Omar. Omar was my roommate at the time, and he's my best friend, my brother, one of my brothers. And getting to sing with him and having my hair punky and just doing one of the 30 post-apocalyptic videos that we do was really cool. Someone sent us like an oil painting of the two of us, like going like this, that I still have in my room. One of the fans, which is super sweet.
Wow.
And I think lastly, my last two favorite ones, outside of We're Good, because I love We're Good. We're Good will always have a special place in my heart. I think that was the sassiest I was, because I was just like the new girl on the block, the new Jenny on the block. But I Can't Make You Love Me, because that was one of the first songs that I recommended to them, and they're like, Oh, you know, they've always been supportive and you know, open for any kind of like notes and stuff like that from the get, which is super sweet of them. But yeah, this was I Can't Make You Love Me was one of the first songs that they were like that I recommended, and then they were like, oh, let's do it, and we did it within the month. We filmed it in this beautiful house, tiny house, and then Omar's brother EJ got to sing, and I really love a sad song. So yeah,
fantastic. Have you wanted to dabble in the arrangement part at all?
It is very daunting to me, and it keeps me very humble, because I know not only how much it's required for them to do, but how much slack they put on each other, literally, to make sure it's refined and perfect. And I don't know if I can handle that. Also, I have like 800 trillion other like live projects that I do like with the community that I don't want to be a disservice to them. However, they are very open to that. They want to take me to that route. So, you know, whenever I'm ready, they're ready to hold my hand. Things I've done before though have been like costume, like collections, because that's a really cool thing. You know, usually whoever's the head of project like sends like a big PDF of like Cesar, and then like the shirt and the pants that we're gonna get from Amazon or wherever, and then Jeff, etc. So I've done stuff like that for Turn Around, Total Eclipse of the Heart, you know, and concepts like that. And then hopefully down the road I'll get to do like editing, but holding Lane's hand, obviously, but arrangement will be very last on that list, because I feel it's the most challenging part of it all. Like that's the thing that will be in all platforms. That's not just on YouTube. That's on streaming platforms. That will be the product that will be put on someone's, you know, video of them, you know, drying their clothes or walking around, because you know people use those for their dailies. So yeah, maybe down the road. I keep asking them. We just had like contract negotiations. I was like, we're in this for a long time, right? Like and they're like, as long as there's an audience. So I was like, okay, great. So and what do you think? Do you think there'll be an audience for a while? I hope, right?
I think so. I mean, VoicePlay has built such a, it seems like, I mean, from an outside perspective, a very loyal following.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, regardless of, you know, how many songs go viral or whatever, which you can't really predict, there's like a very solid core group of people that will, seems like they'll follow you guys anywhere, which is what you want. I mean, that's what you want as an artist, you know.
Shout out to the VIPs. They when we did our show in New Jersey for Chicago, and Atlantic City for Chicago, a lot of the fans came from all over. Like, you know, we have fans from Europe and Canada, and all of them came. And it's funny because I was with my then boyfriend. We were just walking around the pier, and we knew that they were there. And I love meeting people. I will hug 1,000 trillion people, you know. I love it. I'm a Pisces, and although I am introverted, like I recharge at home. I do love meeting people and giving them love and filling their cup just as they fill ours. But I remember we were walking, and then I just unintentionally, just the horde of VoicePlay Patreons walk out in a group, and I'm like, and they're like, it's the first time we all see each other. But they are a big loyal group, and we're very grateful, and you know, they get to voice the videos that we do, and I know the guys, you know, the guys focus a lot on like, we need to be viral, but at the end of the day, we're very lucky that we have these, you know, the Patreons that we have that, you know, sustain us and allow us to create these, you know, beautiful music videos. Yeah, these high quality production videos. Yeah,
that's what it's about. High quality.
Yes,
high quality stuff.
I like that. It does make a difference, you know. Yeah, and I like them.
You can't really predict virality. I mean, you can make the absolute best product in the world, and there's no way to predict what's really going to pop off. And you guys have had some very viral successes, which is great. It's good to sprinkle those in amidst, you know, a discography of just really high quality, consistent stuff.
Right. Yeah. I and it's funny because, you know, we chat and we're like, Jeff, because Jeff also has his own Patreon. I mean, so does Patty Cake too. So when they get into the conversations of like what makes it viral, they're like, it's the song, it's this, it's that. It's like you said, you really can't predict it. You know, you can't hold a moonbeam in your hand, as Rodgers and Hammerstein have said.
Well, they have some of the best lyrics ever written, so that's a good
line.
Oh
my goodness,
that's a good line to take.
That's another thing we can geek out. We should geek out about Rodgers and Hammerstein, and then Stephen Sondheim is one of my favorites too.
Oh my gosh,
mentored by Hammerstein, I think.
Just genius, absolutely genius.
Yeah.
Before we get there, I'm always curious, professional singers, how you handle your vocal training and how you handle the upkeep of your voice. I always wonder, you know, as a very experienced singer, is it more now done through performance and through rehearsal, or do you take time, you know, on your own in a practice room or at the piano, kind of noodling and like working on things in your voice?
That's a very good question. It really depends on the project, because, for example, this pharmaceutical one, we had to do like parody songs. So he's saying like "Don't Stop Believing." We're like, "Just a pharma gal." Like we talk about pharma, or like. And it was just a matter of like memorizing the lyrics, but depending on the project or depending on the vocal execution, I sometimes need to really get on the piano and like play the note and like like I have to tune myself. I think we talked about this before briefly, but you know, for me, the way that I describe my voice relative to someone like Omar Cardona, and this is something I told Omar, Omar's voice is like a diamond. So like he can play Fortnite all night and yell in his, you know, with his friends, and or we can have a night out in Orlando, and then the next day he can be up at 6 a.m. and just sing the national anthem with a perfect pitch center.
Oh my gosh.
And no single damage. And even though at times he's like, because we've done studio sessions together for Disney or whatever, and he's like, oh my God, my voice is trash. And he's like, ah! Like singing without an issue. So his voice is a diamond. My voice is a flower. My voice is beautiful. It's natural. It's exotic and good to look at and listen to, but it will die, and it will need about 2 weeks of time to regrow back from seedling. So that said, I always have to be very strategic with how I spend my personal time with my professional time. So like for this pharmaceutical show, like I try not to drink. I try not to indulge in my medical card items, you know, stuff like that, like anything that has to do with inhaling smoke or drinking. I try to avoid it for like 3-4 days before a gig, just to make sure my voice is recuperated. I always do warm-ups. Usually, since I have to drive, I do a nice 45-minute warm-up. I try to keep myself, you know, in tune with my voice. I can do that easily because I'm such a Pisces and so psychic. I can tell what my voice needs. And then my voice needs like a vocal rest. Like, you know, people, my friends and family will absolutely honor that. Also super easy because I'm a hermit, so I usually don't even need to go out too much. But other than that, what happens a lot is I do need to relearn how to sing. So I for me, so like I literally have to go to my phone. There's this app called Tunable. I'll show you right now. And you know, it might play a pitch and it shows you. You saw how the green expanded. When the green expands, it's that it stays in the pitch center for the duration. And it's like, so you're trying to like expand yourself and keep yourself in center. So that's cool. I literally have to put this in my ears and like, ooh. You see I'm a little sharp. Ooh. And like tune myself a lot, and sometimes even before like symphonies and stuff, because you know we are in Florida, and you know there's allergy season. Always, all of our cavities are going to be infected. Fun fact: I did not know this until I lived in Japan and did my ear work. But my timpano, my right cochlea on my right ear, is tilted. So I have a little bit of an issue with pitch sometimes, and I can blame it on that if I'm flat. but to answer your question, yeah, it depends on the project, and sometimes it's just a matter of you know, making sure my body is clean for the performance, or making sure I have to dive in and press every note, and then just give myself, you know, I try to try to see all of my vocal coaches in my mind, kind of like Ang sees, all his
all the avatars,
all the avatars in his mind of like, so and that's usually how I try to do it for mainly live projects. Thankfully, when we do voice play and we record, I record in my own studio, unless if it's like a specific project. This last one, Lane produced it. He's the head of project, and he just wanted me to be at the studio. We were both in sync. I was like, I'm going to be in Orlando. Can I go to your studio? And then he was like, do you want to come to my studio? And I was like, yes, absolutely. But when I get to record from home, the stakes are a little bit lower because, you perform less. It's less of a performance since, you're just by yourself.
Yeah. So leading up to a gig, you're focused mostly on vocal health in general and tuning, as opposed to like, there's this one song with this big high note and you like really need to prep for that. You feel like that's something that if those other two things are in line, you can nail the big moments?
Yeah, I do have to run. Like I have a belt box and I just put it comes with like a little band around your head, and I just get on the treadmill. I put these in ears and I just try to make sure I execute the note with the least force possible. So I say this thing when I used to work with students, stuff like that. There's 3 elements. There is a square, which is perfect form, or your best interpretation of the perfect form of self, and then a triangle, which means no added force. The triangle has to be a perfect triangle. There's you're not pulling from this side, you're not pulling from that side. And then a circle, constant flow. So usually I have to, for those high notes, like when I have to sing high, my focus is going to be on like how can I execute this note? And it helps. It's like a placement thing basically, but it's like, how can I execute this note where my exhale matches the comfort of my inhale? And then I do that while I'm running, and that becomes my focus for those high notes, and it's usually on a treadmill. And then, once they're set and once my body feels at ease, I can do it with peace.
I love that. As you know, the like operatic singing that I do, and I know you've worked with some classical singers, it's very big, powerful, full body singing. And
love it.
And sometimes my approach is very similar, where it's like, I'm just like, how easy can I make this? Like this big, huge, full chested, basically a yell. How can I make this feel like I'm doing nothing?
An exhale. Yeah.
And if you do that, it's very likely going to be a very solid, efficient note that puts no stress on you.
Yes. I have a really good guard for that too. Like when I'm in resonance, because that's when you're in your perfect, nothing's really perfect, but you're in your perfect resonance, like at ease. And usually my dog, she's a Shih Tzu Maltese, laying down right next to me, but usually she howls at me, like trying to match my note. And it's only when my placement is correct. When I sing forced or from the chest and I'm pulling, she does not react. Like even when she's hearing my chest, but when I'm on correct resonance and it's that yell exhale, she goes for that note with me. That's how I know.
Probably because you're hitting those really high harmonics in the sound. If you have really good vocal fold efficiency, and she's like, whoa.
Yes, she's like,
what's that? Ooh, yeah. Amazing. Okay, that's a lot about voice play. Awesome. What are some of the things you do outside of voice play, musically?
So under voice, I am freelance a lot. So I do get hired to sing for a lot of different bands, existing bands that I've either founded or was a founding member of. So like Element is one of them. We're going to be at Epcot in the last or second to last week of April. Usually this is how I explain it to people at the top. Oh, and you and I talked about this. The very top of my priority pyramid is voice play. Thankfully with the Patreons we have, it's a livelihood that I can, sustains me, and it's worth enough for that to have my top priority. As open as they are and as wonderful as they are with my other projects. Under that is the freelance. It's this company Hawk Moon. They hire me for a lot of stuff, even since they started in 2020. EJ was one of the founding members of the company and brought me in. So we do a lot of Disney stuff. So Disney has a company or a segment or department called Disney Event Group. And they're the ones focused on doing like special events outside of the theme parks or even within the theme parks, but for specialty groups, for weddings, for travel agencies, for specific corporate events, or for affluent families.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, so I get hired from Hawkmoon, from this company, and they partner with companies like Disney to not only facilitate the entertainment but help with the production side of it. So then they hire me to be either like a singer or an actor/singer in a Broadway production, like a one night only for these families or groups, or they hire me to, or I go out there to do like one or two of the specialty fireworks songs that some of the Disney fans love. There's a lot of Disney rolls out the red carpet for a lot of travel agencies because obviously they bring a lot of families in, with packages, etc. And they're the first to know like on the new products of Disney and stuff like that. So to roll out the red carpet and to add a little bit of magic, pixie dust at the end of the show, they hire us to sing, You Are the Magic or any of those, specialty fireworks songs. So I do that a lot. I am with a lot of bands too. Element is one of them. I'm with another Motown band called Evolution Motown, where we wear like the old school lapels.
That's sick.
Yeah, and we do stuff like, we do Motown medleys, but we also like give people like a history lesson of how it went from Motown to what it is now, like the evolution of it. So we end up like singing it. The show ends with like Uptown Funk, but we also do like Jackson 5. We do some Prince. We do some Boyz II Men. So it's like songs that are tethered to the Motown world and R&B and doo-wop. And then other than that, I have lots of friends who own wedding bands. And they hire me. They're like, hey, do you want to make X amount for, 3 hours? Or, because before VoicePlay, after Disney, after college and everything, I started working at Disney. And I was a contracted performer at Disney like 10 plus years ago at Hollywood Studios. So that's where I first got my bearings as a performer full time, developing my stamina. Then I went to Japan for a year, did a contract in Universal Studios, came back, did that reality show. And then from then on out, I was part of like a top 40 band full time. That was my full time gig because that's what people focus on. They're like platinum weddings, like the cake is floating, you're at the Ritz, and they hire, high energy bands to perform your favorite live songs and stuff like that. So I was doing that for a while. I've had so many lives. I've been so many places in my life and time, and so I get to like do things. So when my friends ask me to freelance for weddings, like I already have like a lot of top 40 songs that I can do that fits perfectly with the main industry and what they do, and then under that I do I like help counsel people on their products. As I have a bachelor's and master's in business with the bachelor's is with a focus on music business, and then my master's with an entertainment. So I usually like help counsel people and be like, do this, do that, like but it's up to you to do it. And then lastly, I write music for theater companies in Orlando through my company Push Love. And sometimes it's original music. They did Medea a couple years ago, but it was like a new version of it, like where she is a Dominican voodoo queen in New York, and I had to write music for that, which is really cool. I've written music for like school curriculums and for special community students as well, and I do that through my company. And then I also produce like special events in like for Pride. I bring in, and that's how it works. That's the ecosystem with bands. Like the bands that ask me, hey, can you perform at the wedding? I'm like, hey, can you guys perform at this Pride for me, for this amount? They're like, yeah, totally. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. And that's how we help each other. And that's basically the end of the pyramid. But at the very tippy is it's VoicePlay, and then from then on out is everything else I listed.
That is a lot of things.
It keeps me busy, man. And that's why I have to be strategic about like my personal life. And I mainly have to keep myself very clean and devoted. I can't kiss nobody, because that's another thing too. I try not to like and I love but I try not to like introduce new bacteria in my body. That's another thing I try to like tell people, like, if you have a big show, don't kiss nobody, not even your boyfriends or girlfriends. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you don't want to get nothing in your throat or get, you know, trigger your immune system to produce, you know, all these things that are going to limit you from exhaling easily, as you know, as you try to do.
Yeah, I've gotten wrecked this year. I've gotten 3 colds this year, and I usually
I saw who you go out with at night, and they're all beautiful girls. I see you, bro. I see you.
We'll totally cut this from the episode. Just kidding. This is good. This is lore. This is lore
It is lore
that I will not expound upon whatsoever.
I want to hang out with you. I'm gonna go to Phoenix. We're gonna hang out.
Come to Phoenix. Come hang out.
And we're gonna do a song together.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting it, dude. Just a brief parentheses. I don't know if I told you, but I volunteered for JetBlue last year to give up my seat. So I stayed like an extra maybe 4 hours for the next flight, and I got like a $700 voucher. Ooh. And I was like, I'm gonna travel the world. It expired in January.
No.
Oh, so tragic.
Of course it did, and they probably didn't alert you that it was expiring.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But just know when I see you, it'll be on my dime, and it'll also be my pleasure.
Amazing. We'll set it up. 100%. We'll set it up.
Yeah.
I want to go back to you said you do write a lot of music, but you feel intimidated by arranging music for VoicePlay. And I was wondering why that is, because throughout my whole history, I was the opposite. I was like, I can arrange anything, but I have just started writing original music. Like towards the end of last year, I started writing a big original project, and it's the first time I touched it because I was like, I can't do that. I can arrange, but I can't write original lyrics or anything.
And I know what it is, and most of you don't. I gotta take my jacket off because it is hot. I just wanted to be aesthetic.
You look fantastic.
Yes. To answer your question, I just see Jeff's face. Maybe not enjoying what I produce, and I don't know. I'm trying not to. I should heal myself from that, and you know, and disappointing the loves of my lives, because you know, Lane is Papi, and Jeff is Dad, and Ellie was bro for a while until he became a father. Now he's Pa, but they're all like, you know, I have a lot of. To me, it's just it feels a little bit beyond, and you know what? This is gonna be a good bookmark for me, like to look back on this and be like, and maybe you and I will talk about it in the future. Be like, Peter, remember you and I talked about how scary it was to arrange.
Yeah.
You know, I have done acapella stuff for Medea. It had a lot of she had her own like botanical store. It was a really cool show. It was trippy. And they had a lot of singers, and I had them do like overlaps and sing in a cappella, and then some of them had music. But for the most part, it was like chant work. It was really, really cool. So technically I've done a cappella before, but just the scale is very different. So that's why I'm afraid of arranging a cappella right now.
Yeah, there are a lot of eyeballs on VoicePlay for sure, and just the standard of the group is very, very high because you do have people like Lane and Jeff arranging, and you know they're just brilliant. They really are.
Yeah, they really are.
Fantastic.
Well, fingers crossed. One day we'll do it again.
You'll do it.
This will be something we'll look back into.
Yeah, something awesome about that and arranging for a group like VoicePlay is within the arrangements, despite the quality that they need to be, there does feel like there's a lot of freedom. You know, like you can try some crazy stuff in an arrangement that maybe you couldn't do if you were arranging for a different group.
Very, very true. Yeah, they are very open, and again, they were open from day one to like input and suggestions. But yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it to the professionals for now, you know, and I think that's another cool thing is like I'm still like a big fan because I'm kind of still a little bit outside of the fishbowl on those things, so I do get to enjoy it in a different way, you know. But yeah.
What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced as a performer, or you know, going into a studio session if there was a particularly difficult vocal part? What are some challenges you faced there?
Well, the biggest one is that I cannot read music. Yes,
Like
yes.
Pavarotti.
Pavarotti. He doesn't read?
You didn't read music. Right? Crazy.
I feel a lot better about myself. I get hired a lot for Disney, like fireworks and parades, but it's because most of those vocal producers know me, and they already know my vocal history. Because a lot of Orlando people, when you're here in the city, you get to see a lot more of what we do. So they hire me to do like Coco or like, one of those or Encanto and stuff like that. And usually they walk with me through it. Now, I'm not Leah Michelle. That's a joke because they say Leah Michelle can't read. Just period. They say she can't read, period. But I can. So I used to read when I was younger, like because I loved choir. I did choir from 3rd grade because in Puerto Rico there was no choir. I was in Puerto Rico from 1990 to 1998 until I was 8. And then the only music school they had or music class was guitar. I don't play no gosh darn guitar. I want to sing, and I was already singing because most of my family from my mom's side, we all lived in a huge family colony, a huge plot of land where my neighbor was my aunt, my other neighbor was my other aunt, and it goes down the hill. And we would meet in the middle of the hill, and my aunts and uncles would play and sing, just in 3-part harmonies, uncles with guitar, drum, timbales, and all that jazz. And my dad would play guido and all that, whatever. So I knew music is my first language. I knew that's what I always wanted to do, but I didn't get to really do classes until 3rd grade. So from 3rd grade until 9th grade, I was doing choir, and obviously we did music theory every day. And I remember going to All State Chorus, like the auditions, and I remember eating because they gave me that sheet music, and I was like, do 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 re, like, and doing a really really good job. But then I joined musical theater in 9th grade. I was doing choir too, but I transitioned fully into musical theater because, fun fact, did not know what musical theater was. And I remember all my girlfriends, my friends that were girls, because I had guy friends when I was in choir in like middle school, but puberty was hitting all of us, and then they're like, I want to do football, like they eventually like left choir, but most of the girls were like, we're gonna do musical theater, and I'm like, musical theater, what is that? They're like, that's when you dance, act, and sing at the same time. And I was so mind blown about that idea. I was like, what how does that even look like? And that was the year, like when I joined, Wicked was the big thing. It was 2004. That's when Wicked was everywhere. Everybody was listening to the studio album but so then I stopped really learning sheet music. I did when I did my first college, I was looking for a music degree there. It was at a Christian college here in Lakeland, which is why my family moved to Lakeland from Tampa. Fun fact. And I was pretty good at like the circle of fifths. I'm also so esoteric. There's like, I see the correlation, like in a new way that the teacher didn't see. But yeah, I stopped reading, and I cannot sight read, and that's a big requirement for a lot of studio vocalists that get hired, like especially for ensemble work. Thankfully I do get hired for solo work first, and then I get put into those ensemble areas, and everybody's so fine that I'm illiterate. but yeah, to prepare myself, I usually let them know, like when people hire me, like, I cannot read. So if you do need me, I just, I can definitely like use it as a reference. And especially like once we learn the parts, I know the note, lengths and stuff like that. But yeah, that's usually the biggest surprise when I do studio work. But other than that, I just really try to warm up. Depending on the project, I keep myself vocally reduced and beforehand and give them the best. And then I try to be very folksy about it. Like I remember sometimes there was one of the recordings made it to Disneyland Paris for the parade, and I was like singing high C's. I didn't even know there were high C's until they're like, and the producers were like, I don't know how you can belt a high C but make it sound like it's not a high C. Like I was like, okay, I don't know,
because I didn't know it was a high C.
Yeah, and I claim it again back to my family roots because it was the first language of music. So I always try to do a very folk person approach to when I perform.
Well, for the reading, I mean, your ear must be so well developed that you can learn a part by ear really fast.
Yeah, I can do
Right.
definitely that. All my uncles, they would say they're guitarristas. They play guitar, and one of my uncles, his name is Tio Maelo, Uncle Maelo, but they used to say that he can play music to the Black Rooster's Crow, like to his, because he can listen to it and da-da-da, and he's really good. We have really good refined ears, and I remember that's another funny thing. Like, I remember when I was learning singing, I remember one time my mom has a beautiful voice, like very Jodie Benson type voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember her singing at Walmart, and she's singing a harmony to a song. I didn't know. She was like singing something that's in the melody but different. And I was like, Mommy, ¿qué es eso? Mommy, what's that? She's like, that's harmony. And then I started learning harmony that way. I started singing in church, and when I was like 12 and 14, like in the kind of like a pseudo mega church. And then I became like a worship leader as well, and then that's way how I refined my ear a lot more, and then now I can just hear harmonies wherever.
Would you ever consider taking another theory course or relearning how to sight read?
Yeah, I'm very gradual. I've realized I'm 35 and I look 12, but
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It is a good thing, but I have realized that, thankfully, like, I used to be freaking out because I used to be like, I need to learn Japanese, I need to do this and that, and like and I would stress over that so much that I didn't learn, and B, spend the majority of the time stressed that I didn't learn. But I realized now, looking back, which is why I'm saying 35, I look back, most of my successes and the learnings and tropes have come gradually. So I've adapted the reality: when a student is ready, a teacher appears. So when I'm ready to learn theory in that capacity, I will jump into it. I do like, I'm very interested right now in like harmonic correlations between scales and like the actual frequencies and the visuals of it. So I see those a lot on my social media and then on my own studies. So that has been my current avenue, but I don't stress about it too much, because I feel like I will get into it when I need to, and
Sure.
historically, because I was so apt in, like, I know it's in me, so when it'll happen.
Yeah.
But can you teach me?
I could. I do
Good.
know. I am a big theory nerd. That was one of my favorite things about undergrad, and I've composed a lot, and I'm writing a lot of stuff now, and yeah.
Should
I
have
like
one of
this
those
stuff.
free PDFs. Peter Barber teaches theory. You should.
I've thought about making some ebooks. There's like a bunch of things that I would like to bestow upon the young musical community that I think would be really helpful, because I'm like
the learning, because some of them are old and learning. So like, it's just the learning, not even young or anything.
Totally. I'm like, it's so funny. Like, half of me is this very creative, like, I want to make original music about all these crazy things, and I love fantasy and blah blah blah. And the other half of me is a robot, a straight up robot, where I'm like very dialed and organized, and everything's planned and yada yada yada. And so I think the robot side, I think a lot of musicians could use a little bit of the robot in how they approach their work. Like, not to where it takes away from their creativity, but just so many of my colleagues that are some of, like, the best young opera singers in the world, like, they just, nothing is organized. And I'm like, I don't know how you go through life with nothing remotely in order. You know what I mean?
I get that. I
think there's some ebooks waiting to be written, just like, this is a 5-step process about how you can just
do it, bro.
Get your shit together a little bit.
Do it. That's another thing I encourage with my degrees, with people, like, because that's the thing you learn, especially with like the entertainment business degrees, is like, those avenues for passive income. Like, I got some of my friends to do their own like music theory for pianists and stuff, and then they're like, there was another one called throat yoga. Really, really cool program, and it is an accredited online course for homeschooling for students now, and you get to see yours truly teaching you about things yours truly doesn't really know. But I'm reading from a script, so it's not my words. I'm just the mouthpiece. Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh, fantastic.
What's your sign, by the way?
I'm Leo. I'm August
right.
5th. August 5th, baby.
Gold. That's why you got the hair in them eyes like a lion. Have you seen Castlevania?
That is crazy. You just asked that question, because I finished it last night. I finished it last night.
So you say Leo, I think of the season 2, the villain, not the secret villain, but the, you know what I'm talking about. But the goddess, but the Mad, whatever her name is. Yeah. That's Leo. That's what I think.
It took me a little while to get into it, but I think it's because I'm not used to the animation style or the amount of gore, which doesn't bother me. I'm just I'm not used to it, and so it took me a second to.
You never played Mortal Kombat when you were a kid?
Never played Mortal Kombat. No, and like I said, the gore doesn't bother me at all. I just am not used to it in the animated shows that I watch. But I mean, I was so invested.
Did you like Sydney?
Sydney
is one of the vocalists, the one who sings most of the arias in the.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's he was recently on Broadway as in the Cats show, the Jingle Ball. But anyways.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting there. I have a couple more for you.
No, 2 more hours.
What do you do outside of music? Hobbies, shows, things you love.
I do. I love to lounge.
Okay.
I love a good lounge. I have a king size bed and it's on the floor. So there's lots of pillows there. So like when people come over, we just lounge. And we watch. I try to be a Ghibli prophet, so I teach people about Studio Ghibli. I start them first with Kiki's Delivery Service.
It's a good start.
Then I go to House Moving Castle. Then I take them to either Princess Mononoke, because I assume they've seen Spirited Away at this point. If not, we have to start with Spirited Away. But other things, I do like to drink alcohol a lot. I love spirits. So basically, like I do like hosting friends, especially in Lakeland, because it's in the middle of nowhere, but they have little boutique spots. So I am like a host. I take people around. When I lived in downtown too, like people from all over, they called me some people in Orlando, like all the bartenders or special events people called me the mayor of Orlando because I knew everybody. And I would just take everybody around and just show them a good time. Other than that, I love waking up with my little doggy Lara Mia, and I just pet her a lot. And then I'm into very like esoteric and occult knowledge. So I try to like learn the Picatrix and read the tarot. And I love the full moon. So I'm obsessed. At night I look up. I just bought these eclipse glasses like all year. Oh, nice. So I can just look at the sun while I stretch outside.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I do love a good lounge, and I love hosting friends. I love watching movies. I recommend watching them on the D-Box, like the seats that move. I don't know if you've seen Snow White yet, but wonderful musical adaptation of the movie. I would recommend it on the D-Box because, every producer gets to program those seats, however. But for this one, it was like they have the vibration synced to the bass, and sometimes it bounces on tempo. So it's like
that's
an amazing experience. Yeah. I'm about like a feels kind of guy, and that's usually how I fill my cup. And other than that, I really love singing. Even when I'm not singing, I go to karaoke and I sing a nice. It depends on the bar, like or the karaoke place. If I go to like a divey bar, I sing like Crazy Train. If I'm one of those bars that has like Frank Sinatra, I sing I Get Along Without You Very Well. It's a really good song.
I just did an analysis video for the channel. My first time, one of the first times I'd ever seen Frank perform live. And it was his version. It blew me away. I was like,
I'm so glad you discovered him in that capacity.
I was like, this guy commands his stage presence and charisma is unbelievable. I was like, I haven't enjoyed making a video that much in a very long time.
Good. Yeah, that's the thing. The interpreter, and that's one of the things that give me the most joy. That's why I say music was my first language. Why I feel so grateful. I was actually reminiscing about or thinking about this lately. But I get paid to sing, release this magical essence for myself, you know, to the benefit or the connection to the people in front of me, it's kind of surreal.
Yeah.
But I consider myself very lucky, and I love singing. I yesterday, even though we were singing like pharma stuff, like I enjoy using that opportunity as a bridge to look at someone in the eye and connect with them and see them light up, you know, see them being receptive, you know, become a mirror to the light that's being, you know, sent in front of them. So yeah,
it's really special. It's really special.
And you're really special. I had a really special time today.
Excellent. I want one more thing from you. What's some advice you would give to young singers or young artists who are interested in doing what we do, making a living out of singing or music?
Learn to read music. Not kidding. I would say it requires you to take it seriously. You really need to dive into it, especially if you want to make a living for it, because it'll benefit you. It'll come back to you. You know, you always get back what you give, and you know, it really does require a leadership mindset. You know, I always recommend to work really hard, but expect adaptability or flexibility, because sometimes, you know, those gigs, you work really hard and then you get there and the stakes are a lot lower than what you think they are. so you know, hard preparation and then flexible execution on those things. Follow your gut. You know, you might be the first person out of your group of people to do something like this, but if you believe in yourself, you should go for it. You should see it through, even if you're the only one walking into this, because, you know, you might start walking alone, but you will never end up alone. You will always walk into a group of people. And then this guy, his name is Todd. I worked with him yesterday. I'm going to try to say what he said because it made an impact on me, unless if I mess up the words. But he helped start off Postmodern Jukebox. He was a big casting director for, you know, all the theme parks all over the world. But he says, you don't have to be great to start. But finish the sentence. I'm trying to think what he used. But you need to start to be great. I think that's what he said. Yeah. You don't need to be great to start, but you need to start to be great. Yeah. So, you know, put yourself out there. Another vocal thing that I learned from Brett Manning from Singing Success. He was like, do you know Brett Manning?
Yeah, I think my brother is a singer, not a professional singer, but has a lovely bass voice, and he was in a band. He was in a band in high school, and I remember him going through the Brett Manning stuff when I was in middle school. Yeah,
he says you don't need to prove yourself; you need to improve yourself. And I take those things to heart, and you know, and then lastly, just you know, when you perform, perfect form, zero force, constant flow is what I think. You know.
Love it.
And good luck, everybody. You're going to find people that love you. And who knows, maybe if you're lucky and you eat the camera one day and you get picked up to be part of an awesome acapella group, you get to, you know, be part of this ecosystem where a great opera singer, songwriter, and you know, vocal analysis professional Peter Barber gets to interview you and invite you to his podcast.
I think what Cesar's saying is you got to be a cute brown boy that eats the camera, and then you'll find success. All right, Cesar, where can people find you?
You can find me. My biggest platform that I post stuff on personally is Instagram, so it's at Cesar De La Rosa Music. You can probably find me on Facebook if you're a Facebooker there. YouTube on that same name. I have some old videos and maybe some concepts from like maybe some old covers. You know, I don't know if you ever did that when you were younger, where you like sang in the shower and you posted it on YouTube, or sang in front of in the bathroom. Sure. And then most iconically, you can find the bands I perform with at Element Band, or the band Element, and then at Evolution Motown if you want to catch up with them and the stuff that they do. But most importantly, VoicePlay, at VoicePlay. You can find us there too.
I'll put all the links in the description. All right, buddy. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, man. Of course, bro.
We'll be in touch. We have to cook on some things. Okay. Stir the pot.
Yeah, well, I really want to see you in your state, and then we'll work.
Fantastic.
And then we'll play. All right, brother.
Fantastic. Yeah, you can take me out in Phoenix because you'll use your Pisces to sense all the good going out spots.
Yes, and I'm such a good wingman. I'm also like really good at like pulling groups. I'm like, you know, like it's always I'm like the white rabbit of the Matrix. If you follow me, you're gonna be fine. Yes.
Another great movie reference.
Yes, thank you. I almost got that as a tattoo. All right, brother. Thank you. I look forward to seeing this.
Great chatting with you. Yes, I'll keep you posted on when it's going up.
All right, brother. Take care. You have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed that full conversation with Cesar De La Rosa of VoicePlay. If you did, I'm sure you will enjoy this conversation with another VoicePlay member, Ellie Jacobson. Check out those rock vocals, baby. Go on. Click it. I know you want to.